Welcome to the new session of Polity classes. Yesterday and the day before yesterday and even before that class, I have given 3 lectures about Parliament of India. I hope all the points that I have mentioned in those 3 lectures will be clear to all of you. In that session, I have cleared about some important facts related to Parliament of India. Today, I am going ahead with the same topic, that is Parliament of India. So let's see what is today's topic. That is, of course, it's Parliament of India. See, it's Parliament of India. But before going to the next slide, I want to clear one doubt, that is genuine doubt that most students are asking, and that is, see here, one student asked that if, listen carefully, if any person become member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha, if any candidate contests the election of Rajya Sabha and becomes the member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha, okay, so how many terms, for how many terms he can be elected and he has the right to contest the election of Rajya Sabha? Is there any fixed number? Okay, is there any fixed number to which this person, this MP will contest the election of Rajya Sabha? No, it is not fixed. It is indefinite. Okay, it's the indefinite number of times he can be elected as the member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha. The situation is same for Lok Sabha. If any MP is one time selected for suppose Lok Sabha, then can he become a member of Lok Sabha again, or more than one time, 2 times, 3 times? Yes, it is possible. This is indefinite too. There is no fixed number that how many times any person can become member of Parliament of Lok Sabha or even Rajya Sabha too. Again, this is simple actually, but since it is necessary for all of you to know about it, that's why I am telling you. Another thing is that, is there any possibility that if any person become member of Parliament of Rajya Sabha, then can he contest the election of Lok Sabha for the next term? If he completed his term for 6 years, or either he resigns from office before 6 years, just total outcome is, if he is a member of Rajya Sabha for any number of terms, for either 1 year, 2 years, 6 years, or for 2 terms, 3 terms, 4 terms, any number of terms, then either he is eligible to contest the election of Lok Sabha. Yes, he is eligible to contest the election of Lok Sabha. Okay, he is eligible. The same situation is for Rajya Sabha too. It's vice versa. Okay, the situation is vice versa. You can correlate with both. So the 2 things that is necessary to tell here, that if any MP become member of Rajya Sabha, then he can be contest the election for any number of terms. The situation is same for Lok Sabha too. And if any member of Parliament contests the election of Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha and wins the election, then he becomes the member of Parliament of either Rajya Sabha or Lok Sabha. Then after completing the terms, will that person eligible to contest the election of the second house, that may be Lok Sabha or either Rajya Sabha? Yes, that person is eligible to contest the election of any of the house. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all of you. One student asked that question and 4 to 5 students asked about that. Okay, that is why I wish to clear this doubt for all of you, because many of you are not able to ask the questions because of any reason. Okay, so I am moving to our today's slides. See, oath or affirmation. Even any person become the president or vice president, chief ministers, governors, or even prime minister, then it's necessary for them to take oath and affirmation. Okay, only after oath, taking the oath, that person is understood as the office of holding whatever the position he is contested for. So if any person has contested the election of president, then only after taking oath, if any contestant contests the election of president and after winning the election, then he will not termed as president of India. He will termed as president of India only when that person will take the oath as president of India, that I will preserve, protect and defend the constitution of India under Article 60, a special provision for president. The same situation is for head 2. Any minister, any member of parliament, any member of legislative assembly, legislative council, prime minister, chief minister, governor, anyone, okay, anyone who is a office of authority will take the oath and affirmation. Okay, fine. So member of parliament, either that member is Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha, that is a separate matter, but here I am talking about both the houses. Okay, members of for both the houses. So those members of parliament will take the oath and takes the oath of three kinds. In the first instance, those members of parliament will take the oath, okay, and say that I will bear, I means that winning candidate who has reached to Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha, that I will take oath as first instance that I will bear true faith to the Constitution of India. Okay, students. So if any candidate contests the election of either Lok Sabha or Raj Sabha and wins the election, that after winning the seat, that person have to take the oath, and in the first instance those persons will say that I will bear the true faith to the Constitution of India. It means this person has true faith in Constitution of India, because Indian parliamentary system runs with the provision that is mentioned in the Constitution of India. So if you are become member of parliament, you have to do the work, you have to follow the procedures according to the Constitution of India. Whatever mentioned in the Constitution of India, those MPs will follow the same provisions of the Constitution of India. So only when those MPs have fully faith in the Constitution of India, then they will work for the nation, they will work for the respective constituency from which they have won the election, and they will work for the people of India. So this is the first instance. In the second instance, at the same time, these MPs will take the oath and say that I means who have won the election of member of parliament, that I will uphold the sovereignty and integrity of India. What is sovereignty and integrity? I have take a detailed session during the lecture of preamble of India, preamble of the Constitution of India. Okay, the first lecture of our polity classes, the preamble of India. Okay, sovereignty and integrity. So only when, if the mindset of those winning MPs will be that I will have full faith in Constitution of India and I will uphold, I will protect the sovereignty and integrity of India, I will protect the unity of India, I will promote brotherhood among Indians, I will promote, that is fraternity, I have told you in during the preamble. Okay, those MPs will tell that nation is first. Okay, nation is first, that is sovereignty. Okay, sovereignty, integrity, that is unity of India. So I hope you are all getting it. These are kind of revisions, the revision of first lecture. In the third instance, after taking the oath of both these lines, they will take the oath as that I, that is member of parliament, that I will faithfully discharge the duty upon which he is about to enter. Just see, if you are selected for any job or any office, any authority, okay, then only when, for which purpose you are being selected to that office, okay, you have true faith towards that office and you have to take oath as I will discharge my full duty with my faith. Okay, that is the same line, that those MPs who will win the election will say that I will faithfully discharge my duty. I will faithfully discharge my duty and I will protect sovereignty, integrity, unity of India. Okay, and I have full faith, I have full respect in the Constitution of India. So I hope these are the 3 1. You should know about it. Doesn't need to memorize it, but just look 1 to 3 times, and if the conceptual part is clear for all of you, then it's not necessary to memorize. Okay, so we are moving to the next slide. See what the next slide says. Okay, here what written that cannot vote and participate unless takes the oath. So this statement comes as what? This statement for what and for whom? It says that cannot vote and participate unless takes the oath. It is for the member of parliament. Okay, it is for the member of parliament. That, see, it is easy one, but it's necessary to clear here. Okay, if any candidate contests the election of either of the house, that is Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, then if that candidate wins the election of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, okay, fine, wins the election of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, then after winning the election, he will take oath and affirmation of those 3 instances what I have told you in the previous slide. Okay, but suppose if right now this winning candidate doesn't take oath till the present time, if he doesn't take the oath, then what happen? Then that winning candidate will not be able to participate in the proceedings of the house, participate in the sessions of the house. Okay, and if not participate, not allowed to participate unless takes the oath, automatically cannot vote in the proceedings of the house. You can vote in the proceedings of the house only when you are present in the proceedings of the house, you are allowed to present in the proceedings of the house. If you are not allowed to present in the proceedings of the house, automatically you are not allowed to vote in the proceedings of the house. Okay, so what happens? Suppose, assume a situation where any candidate wins the election of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. Okay, and till now, right now, he has not takes oath, and if that candidate enters in Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, assume a situation, goes to Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, then what happen? Then if he sits in the proceedings of Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, then he has to pay fine of rupees 500 per day. Okay, that winning candidate will have to pay fine of rupees 500 per day. Okay, so I hope this is clear to all of you, that any candidate becomes an MP and guarant his office of member of parliament only when that person guarants and takes the oath of which one? Member of parliament. Okay, fine, unless not takes the oath, that winning candidate is not going to allowed to participate in the proceedings of the house or cannot vote in the proceedings of the house. I hope this is clear to all of you. So I am moving to the next slide. Okay, that is salaries and allowances. How much salaries MPs will get, it will be determined by whom, by which authority? It is president, vice president, parliament, prime minister, councils of ministers. Upon it will be decided by whom? It will be decided by Parliament of India. Parliament means Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha too. Okay, Parliament consists of both the houses, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. So whatever the salaries and allowances will be given to the member of Parliament, that will be determined by Parliament of India. Parliament of India can change the salaries and allowances. Okay, it is the power of only the Parliament. President cannot increase the salaries and allowances of member of Parliament. Even Supreme Court cannot do it. Okay, so the sole power to fix the salaries and allowances of member of Parliament is belongs to Parliament of India. Okay, again listen here. Suppose during 2024 general election, if, or right now, not take 2024, right now take like it's June 2021, June month. If suppose, let's assume that if 3 lakh per month is the salaries for MPs of Parliament, suppose, just assume it, then can it be increased before the ending of this Lok Sabha session, that is 2024, the initial phase of 2024, approx March 2024, then can it be increased before the next election? Yes, it can be increased, and it will be increased by Parliament of India. It may be increased, or it is possible that it cannot be increased, but whenever it will be increased, either in the middle of the terms of the Lok Sabha, it can be increased. Okay, so I hope it is clear to all of you. So I am moving to the next slide. Okay, and see, one special thing is that the salaries and allowances of a Speaker of Lok Sabha and Chairman of Rajya Sabha, okay, will also be determined by the same authority that determine member of Parliament, but it will be charged on the Consolidated Fund of India. So what is the Consolidated Fund of India? I will take it in separate session, just memorize it, or you can easily get it that it is upon charge on Consolidated Fund of India. For which one? The salaries and allowances of a Speaker of Lok Sabha and Chairman of Rajya Sabha will be determined by the same authority which determined the salaries of Parliament, but salaries of MPs, but the salaries and allowances of a Speaker of Lok Sabha and Chairperson of Rajya Sabha will be charged upon Consolidated Fund of India. Okay, it means from the Consolidated Fund of India their salaries will be given. So what are Consolidated Fund of India? There are different kinds of funds in Indian parliamentary system that I will cover in separate session, because that's a large topic. Okay, so just remember it, whatever I have told you right now. So now that is about a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Today I will not going to finish the whole things about a Speaker of Lok Sabha, because it is so an important office in India parliamentary system that it will take almost 30 minutes to cover the whole lectures, or more than 30 minutes too, even it can take 1 hour too. Okay, so I will take almost half of the facts and figures related with the Speaker of Lok Sabha. So let's see. The first thing is that the date of election of the Speaker is fixed by the President. Let's understand it by example. Suppose in 2019 general election for Lok Sabha, election has been held. Okay, MPs have been elected, Prime Minister has been elected. Just see here. Suppose during 2029, if these 543 MPs of Lok Sabha, here it is only for a Speaker of Lok Sabha, I am not talking about Chairman of Rajya Sabha. Okay, so now it's separate for Lok Sabha, don't mix it. So if this 543 MPs selected, okay, for each and constituency, then among these 543 MPs, one MP will be selected as a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Among these ones, this process doesn't happen in Rajya Sabha. The process is really different. I will cover tomorrow. But right now, just understand that among these 543 MPs, okay, out of whatever the number of MPs for which elections has been held, so among those winning MPs, one of the MP will be elected for a Speaker of Lok Sabha. So election will be held by which process? It will be held by voting. Okay, so majority of the persons in favor which one will vote, that will become a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay, then election for Deputy Speaker happens in the same process too. If a speaker not present in the house, then who will handle and manage the proceedings of the House of Lok Sabha? It will be the Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay, so here since I am talking about only for the speakers, so let's stay on this point. So on which date after election, suppose in 2019 election, these MPs won, either these from belongs to any parties, that's another separate matter, but this total number of MPs won, and from those MPs anyone is going to elect as a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay, so on which date the election of a speaker will be held? Okay, so the date of election of the Speaker of Lok Sabha is fixed by the President of India. It is upon the President who will decide that yes, on this date the election of a Speaker of Lok Sabha will be held. Okay, fine. So I hope it is clear to all of you. Can I move to the next one? So I am moving to the next one. Okay. See, vacate of office of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Yesterday, during the lecture of yesterday, I have told you that under which conditions the vacating of seats of member of parliament, under which conditions. So I have told you 5 conditions, 5 important conditions, like double membership, absence, and total 5 it was. Okay, so yesterday I have told you vacating of seats of MP, but right now I am going to tell you about vacate of office of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. If there is vacancy and the seat is vacant for a Speaker of Lok Sabha, it means vacation will happen only when, if anyone is functioning as a Speaker of Lok Sabha and due to certain issue arises and this speaker is right now not working as the Speaker of Lok Sabha, then that position will termed as vacant position. Got it? So let's see in which conditions and circumstances this seat, the seat of a Speaker of Lok Sabha, will be termed as a vacant seat. So the first one is that it is siege. Okay. So the first condition says that if siege to be a member of Lok Sabha, suppose let's understand it, the first one, during the either it may be first or second lecture of parliament, I have told you about by which methods, by which process any MPs will be disqualified. Okay, it can be also by anti-defection law. For anti-defection law, I will take a separate session. But due to any reasons, whatever the reasons I have told you in earlier lectures, because of those reasons or the reason of even anti-defection law, if any member of parliament is lose his membership and that member is now disqualified as the member of parliament, then is that person continue as the Speaker of Lok Sabha? Are you not getting it? Let's see, I am giving an example. Suppose, let's see here clearly. Okay, see here. Suppose this person A has contested the election of Lok Sabha. Fine, contest the election of Lok Sabha from any constituency from India, and if he wins the election, then automatically he will become the member of parliament. Fine, it is okay. Then after winning the election, now he is a member of parliament, then he is a member of parliament among those 543 MPs. This MP is among from these MPs, of course. because total number of MPs selected is 543 for Lok Sabha. So this one is also comes from this whole part. Okay, and suppose if the same MP becomes the speaker of Lok Sabha by winning the election of a speaker of Lok Sabha. Assume the situation. I am repeating it again. If again you missed it, then you have to see the video again. Suppose the person A contests the election of Lok Sabha from any constituency of India and wins that election. After winning the election, that person will take the oath and affirmation, and after taking the oath and affirmation, he will be termed as member of parliament of Lok Sabha. Then he will sit in the proceedings of the house, and the date which is fixed by President of India for the speaker of election of a speaker of Lok Sabha, on that date, suppose if this MP wish to contest the election of a speaker of Lok Sabha, then if contestant and if he wins the election of a speaker of Lok Sabha, then this MP will become the speaker of Lok Sabha. After winning the election of a speaker of Lok Sabha, he will functions as the speaker of office of Lok Sabha. Fine. Then see here, if due to any circumstances that I have told you in earlier classes, that under which circumstances any MPs can be disqualified, plus anti-defection law 2 added part. If by those reasons or by any reasons, if this MP, the election of this MP is disqualified, termed as disqualified, this MP as termed as disqualified, whenever he will termed as disqualified, then this is not an MP right now after disqualifying. Okay, so and it will be decided upon President of India that yes, this person is going to disqualified from member of parliament in consultation with which one? Election Commission of India. So see how I am linking to each and every lectures with the upcoming lectures. You should do yourself this kind of joining. Okay, so if this MP is disqualifying as a member of parliament, then automatically he will be disqualified as a speaker of Lok Sabha, because anyone will become a speaker of Lok Sabha only when he will as a member of parliament of Lok Sabha. Okay, fine. So if anyone lose his seats of membership of parliament of Lok Sabha and he was the speaker of Lok Sabha, so automatically since he was losing his, he was disqualified as member of parliament of Lok Sabha, so he has to vacate his seats. Okay, vacate his seats of office of a speaker of Lok Sabha. Fine. I hope this is clear to all of you. This point says the same thing. Second one is that if resigns, okay, so assume a situation where a speaker of Lok Sabha want to resign from his office, then to which authority a speaker of Lok Sabha will submit his resignation? Which authority? Either it is president, vice president, prime minister, or which one? Or to any committee, parliamentary committee? No. If a speaker wants to submit his resignation, then he will submit his resignation to Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha. Deputy Speaker of Lok Sabha. Fine. I hope you are getting it. So in the same process, if a speaker of Lok Sabha resigns, then the seat of office of a speaker of Lok Sabha will be vacant. Again, so if the third one is that if removed by a resolution, like president can be removed by the process of impeachment, vice president can be removed by a resolution, passing resolution. Fine. Even Chief Justice of India and Justice of Supreme Court can be removed by the processes, separate processes. So there is a separate process for removal of a speaker of Lok Sabha. If parliament feels that a speaker does not able to continue the house, to run the house with the proper way, with the proper code of conduct, then if parliament wants, then parliament can remove, that is here only Lok Sabha. If there is a removal process going on for the speaker of Lok Sabha, then there will be no role of Rajya Sabha in it. Okay. Removing of a speaker of Lok Sabha doesn't involve Rajya Sabha. Okay, there is no space for Raj Sabha to involve in the matter of removing of office of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. So, removed from, if there is a removal of a Speaker of Lok Sabha by the members of Lok Sabha itself by passing a resolution, then automatically the seat will be vacant. So, what are some facts related to the resolution, removal resolution? I want to tell you. Okay, so let's see this point, about this point. Okay, so let's see. If anyone wants to remove a Speaker of Lok Sabha from his office, then individually that MPs cannot do it. There should be a majority power in Lok Sabha to remove the Speaker of Lok Sabha, and generally the majority out to which one? Generally means what? It's, of course, it will be to the party of government which is running the government, and the Speaker generally too belongs to the party which is running the government. Okay, fine. So see, if there is a need to remove a Speaker of Lok Sabha from his office, then what happens that see here, what happens that first of all a prior notice will be given to a Speaker of Lok Sabha. A prior notice will be given to a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Prior notice to 14 days before initiating the removing process in the House of Lok Sabha. A 14 days prior notice will be given to the Speaker of Lok Sabha. 14 days notice before the initiating of proceedings of his removal, a Speaker will receive the notice. Okay, it is 14 days before initiation of proceedings of removing. 14 days earlier, the notice will be sent to the Speaker of Lok Sabha. After sending the notice, what happened that now after 14 days, it can be a start initiating the process of removal. So if majority of Lok Sabha, that is not a special majority. How many types of majority, that I will take in separate session. Okay, just understand that if majority of Lok Sabha members voting in favor of his removal process, then the Speaker will be removed from his office. Okay, fine. So in that process too, the office will be vacant for the Speaker of office of Lok Sabha. I hope this is clear to all of you, these all 3 points. So can I move to the next one? I hope all of you are easily understanding it. Okay, now let's see. During removal of Speaker of Lok Sabha, some things you should know. During the removing process of a Speaker of Lok Sabha, I have told you 2 facts: 14 days prior notice, and what happens? Majority of membership of Lok Sabha. Second is that whenever resolution is under consideration, suppose a resolution, after giving the notice to a Speaker, a 14 days prior notice, a resolution will initiated in the House of Lok Sabha for the removal of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Then till the date this initiation is not going to the end term, means finished. So between these periods from initiation to the finished one, between these periods, between this time frame, when the resolution is under consideration, result has not outcomes right now. Okay, the voting has not been done till now. So between these time frame, see, a Speaker cannot participate at the sitting of the House. Are you getting it? Earlier it was playing as the role of a Speaker of Lok Sabha, this person. Okay, so Parliament, Lok Sabha wants to remove him from his office. So 14 days prior notice given. After prior notice, a resolution will be moved on in Lok Sabha. So when till this time, till the notice time, he was serving as the Speaker of Lok Sabha. But when the proceedings are started for removal, it means the resolution is under consideration, not its final outcome has not yet come right now, understand it. But between this time frame, this person will not, this speaker will not right now function as the Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay, fine. I hope this is clear to all of you. And can vote in first instance but cannot vote in second instance. It means what? See here. See again. It may be little bit confused, but it is necessary to know for all of you. Okay, see here. If resolution has been moved for the removal of the office of a Speaker of Lok Sabha, if resolution has been moved, then what happens that see here, he cannot take participate, okay, but he can sit in the proceedings of the Lok Sabha. He can sit during the under consideration. If resolution initiating after 14 days prior notice, and now resolution is under consideration, Lok Sabha is considering on that resolution, members of Parliament of Lok Sabha are considering on that resolution which is for the removal of office of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Okay, so during under consideration of that resolution, that a speaker has the right that a speaker cannot play the function of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. At that time, deputy speaker will play the role of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. But that a speaker which is playing the role of a speaker just few days ago has the right to sit in the proceedings of the House, cannot take participate as a Speaker of Lok Sabha during under consideration, but he can sit or she can sit in the Parliament, because right now the process begins for removal of, understand, the process of resolution is being initiated for which one? For removing the office of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. But this speaker is also a member of Parliament. So this speaker is also a member of Parliament. So you cannot do that if a resolution is going on for the removing of office of Lok Sabha, a Speaker of Lok Sabha. So he cannot even take participate as an MP. No, he has the right to take participate in the proceedings of the House during the under consideration of removing process of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. He has the right to take participate as an MP in Lok Sabha. Fine. I hope it is clear to all of you. I will repeat it again, but I want to finish it. Then after finishing this, I will repeat it again in the whole things in 2 minutes. See, now suppose if he sits in the, he has the right, either it is on her wish or his wish, that I should sit in the Lok Sabha or not. Okay, so if he wants to sit, he can sit during the procedures of under consideration removal process, or if he wants not to sit, then he cannot sit. According, it is upon her wish, but he has the right to sit as an MP during the under consideration of removal process of a Speaker of Lok Sabha. Then what happens that some things will happen, discussions, debates going on for his removing among the members of Parliament of Lok Sabha. Whenever the whole things completed and it's time to vote on that resolution, vote and dot resolution, that resolution means vote on removing resolution of a Speaker of Office of Lok Sabha. So in that resolution, this MP which was playing the role of a speaker just few days ago, okay, this MP has the right to take participate in voting of that removal process. So see how this is interesting. You are being removed from your office by a voting process, and you yourself can take participate in that voting. You have the right to vote. This is the flexibility of Indian Constitution. Okay, fine. So this as MP which was playing the role of a speaker of Lok Sabha just few days ago has the right to sit in the house of Lok Sabha when resolution is under consideration, and even this MP can participate in voting of that removing resolution. Okay, if he participates, and if the majority after voting period, if the majority members wants to remove him from his office, then automatically he will be removed from his office. Now, so this lose the seat of a speaker, and this person now will serve the parliament as an MP only. He will not lose his membership of member of parliament. He will continue his membership of parliament, but he will lose only the seat of a speaker of Lok Sabha. Fine. So, if majority wants to remove him, majority will vote in favor of that resolution. So, resolution was to remove a speaker. So, he will remove. If the resolution will not pass, majority members will against that resolution, not in the favor of that resolution, then that resolution will not going to pass, and if resolution failed to prove the majority, then again this person will be chaired as the speaker of Lok Sabha again. But see a situation where, suppose, just assume if 200 MPs is present at that time whenever voting is going on, so it's 101 needed to remove from his office. Suppose a situation where 100 MPs in favor of that resolution and 100 MPs in against of that resolution. Fine. He has voted to because of course he has the right to vote. If it is upon her wish that or his wish that he wants to participate in vote or not. If he wants, then it is his right or her right to participate. No one going to stop. Okay, of this right. Fine. So 100 MPs in favor, 100 MPs in against. So what's happened that, see here, there is a tie. Now again voting will happen. After few discussions and debates, again voting will happen. After few days it may be. But in the, see here in the first instance, this MP has the right to participate in the vote. But when there is a tie to that resolution, then in the second instance, when the voting will again happen after few days or few moments, then at that time in the second instance, this MP that was playing the role of a speaker just few days ago, who has given the vote in first instance of that resolution, will not have the right to vote in during the second instance. No. Okay. So I hope this is clear to all of you. Fine. So he has the right to participate in the first instance voting, but doesn't have the right to participate in the second instance of voting. On second instance of voting will happen only when there will be a tie in first instance. So I hope there is totally clearance about this one. I am just repeating it again in 2 minutes. See here, if members of parliament wants to remove a speaker of Lok Sabha from his office, then a 14 days prior notice will be given to a speaker. After that, a resolution of removing of a speaker of Lok Sabha will be moved in Lok Sabha, will be tabled in Lok Sabha, will be chaired in Lok Sabha. Okay. And at that time, when resolution will be moved, then the speaker which was just playing the role of a speaker till that time will now not be able to participate as a speaker. He can participate as an MP and he can sit in the house, but he cannot participate as a speaker. Fine. So resolution will be moved. At that time, deputy speaker will play the role of a speaker. Okay. So if tabled in Lok Sabha that resolution, then what happened that he has the right to sit in the he is means this person against whom the notice has been given, this speaker which is not right now an speaker but as an only as an MP, he can sit in the Lok Sabha as an MP only. Okay, so there will be discussion and debates going on. Fine, for that resolution. So if at the final there should be voting for that resolution, either the resolution will be passed or it will be failed to pass. So voting will be done. So during that voting, even this speaker which was a speaker earlier, right now he is only an MP, this has the right to take participate in that voting. Okay, but see here, the deputy speaker which is now playing the role of a speaker will not have the right to vote in this resolution. Fine. So if the resolution passed, then he will be removed from his office. If the resolution failed, then he will again join his earlier office of Speaker of Lok Sabha. Then what happens if there is a tie, like 200 MPs, just assume it, 100 in favor, 100 in against, tie. He has also casted his vote, then also it's a tie, matter of tie, and it's needed is 101 at least, more than 50%. So again voting will happen after few moments or after few days it may be. So in the second instance all will vote, but again this deputy speaker will not vote because right now he is playing the role of a speaker, and this person who is right now only an MP but earlier it was a speaker of Lok Sabha, this MP will not able to take participate in the voting in second instance, only take participate in voting in only for first instance, not in second instance. So I hope this is clear to all of you. I have elaborated in such a way that you can easily get it. So I am moving to the next slide if any remaining. Okay, fine. See here, when Lok Sabha dissolved, what happens that when Lok Sabha dissolved, see, a speaker doesn't vacate his office. Suppose in 2019 general election held, who become the speaker? It will be Om Birla. If Om Birla continues in his office till the next general election, that will be held on 2024. Okay, 2024. So if this speaker continues the full term, means doesn't resign, vacate or disqualified or removed, if these circumstances not arise, then definitely he will going to continue his full terms, that is for 5 years. Then 2024, it is in almost April and May, when election held generally for general election, for election of Lok Sabha, and in June the first session of, or even in July the first session of Lok Sabha happened. Fine, it may be any month, but generally I am just giving an example. So in June a newly fresh MPs will be elected, or even some old MPs will also can contest the election and may able to win the election. So the final outcome is that a new fresh parliament will now be sit in the Lok Sabha. So before the election of new speaker for that fresh parliament, that fresh house of Lok Sabha, till that time, whenever the new speaker is not going to be elected, till that time this old speaker will play the role of new Lok Sabha elected. Okay, it generally elected, the new speaker elected, okay, as soon as possible they got elected. So if few days remain, few days left for, and few days gone due to some reasons, okay, for any reasons, then this old speaker will play the role of a speaker for few days, okay, till the time when new speaker is not elected. I hope this is clear to all of you. That point said the same thing. Okay, fine. I hope this is clear to all of you, that a speaker does not vacate his office. Term is 5 years, yes. So after completing the 5 years, he can serve till only that time till the new fresh elected Lok Sabha members doesn't elect their new speaker. Till that time this old speaker can serve as a speaker of the newly fresh elected Lok Sabha house. So this line same thing. So I hope this is clear to all of you. So if there is any slide remaining, okay, I want to cover, but let's see if any slides remaining. Fine. No students, it is clear. Okay, fine, it is clear. So I hope this is clear to all of you, and we will meet tomorrow again, and I will continue the same thing, that is for a speaker of Lok Sabha. It is not finished yet, it is a big thing, bulky thing. Okay, so we will meet tomorrow with continuing the same topic. So thank you students, meet tomorrow.